Hello and welcome to the New York Film Academy Hour. I'm so excited because it's May the 4th, which means it's Star Wars Day. May the 4th be with you. Stay tuned. We're going to talk about NYFA and Star Wars.
Welcome to Popcorn Talk, featuring movie discussion, news, and interviews. Popcorn Talk. We talk movies.
Hey guys, I'm Joel Smith.
And I'm Peggy Rad.
And I'm so excited because today we're going to do a very short, very special episode on Star Wars and the relationship it has with NYFA and filmmaking and the future. I'm really excited because I think it should be a fun conversation because I'm a huge Star Wars nerd. I was lucky enough to go to the Rogue One premiere last year, and it was amazing. And maybe I'll talk a little bit about that. But Pega is not a Star Wars fan.
I have never seen one Star Wars film, so this is going to be very interesting, but I'm happy to learn. So
we're going to do it's a little bit of a learning experience, but a little bit about talking about what Pega does know, which is she works in admissions at NYFA, which means she helps you guys get adjusted to the school, help you get acquainted into the right school and all this other stuff, which is really cool. And she's also pretty knowledgeable about some of our alumni, including Francisco Panzereri. Am I saying that right?
Yes, and he actually is doing, he did 3D animation for Rogue One.
Yes,
which is pretty big. Pretty big.
So cool. I believe he also worked on The Force Awakens, which is really dope. He's worked, he's had this very long, illustrious career. He's an alumni. He's Italian, if you can tell by his fabulous name. But he came to the New York Film Academy to study visual effects. And there's this really great article on the NYFA blog if you guys want to check that out. But I pulled a quote from him because it's really fascinating to hear. He said, "I told my friend, if you guys ever need someone, I would love to help." Which is, of course, the best way to, just to get your voice out there in Hollywood.
Right.
It's just
get experience and things for your reel and resume. Hey, let me help.
And it's kind of fun to hear that even after you've had such a long and successful career, that it's still I'm down to help. Please, because he's truly a fan of Star Wars, which I find really exciting. So we have this guy who goes to NYFA. He's a fan of Star Wars. He's telling his friends who work for Bad Robot, hey, if you need help, I'm around. And it just happened to turn out the Bad Robot was indeed looking for a team of experienced, dependable, and fast-working VFX artists. Now, if you guys, when I went to the Rogue One junket, they were still editing maybe a month until the premiere.
What?
Yeah, so they to say they had to bring in this entire team of really fast workers, knowing what that final product looked like. It's so impressive to be
gosh.
We just brought these guys in because we knew they were the best and they had to do it really, really quickly.
That's cutting it close.
Yes. Who could accomplish the massive workload on The Force Awakens, not only on time, but also with peerless perfection. One day I received an email from Bad Robot that said, "Someone is praising you." And within 24 hours, I was there for an interview.
That is a story.
What? That is so fast to be working on your childhood, dream projects. We're going to try to get Francisco into the studio at some point. We have a ton of NYFA alum staff who've worked on Star Wars pictures, both the originals, the sequels, and the prequels. But they're busy people. We got a lot of replies of we want to come in, but May the 4th is busy. So in the future, you guys, you could definitely look for Star Wars people here. They're just busy. I'm so upset that we couldn't get one for you guys today.
But I'm happy they're busy at the same time.
I mean, they're working professionals,
right.
So we'll give them the flexibility to come in when they can. So he basically had worked with Industrial Light and Magic, which, again, if you don't know, that's George Lucas's company, or was. It's a huge company. They partnered with THX Sound back in the day. Great advancements in visual and audio technology have come out of these places. So he was doing the VFX for that, which is really cool. We also have Scott Rogers, who works in the animation department at NYFA LA. He was a principal Imagineer and game designer at Disney. I believe he worked on, Battlefront, Star Wars Battlefront, which is a game for, I think you can play that on the computer, Xbox, PlayStation, whatever device you have. Really cool game. What's cool about Star Wars Battlefront, and I'm going to get real nerdy on you guys.
Yeah, do you play these?
I played Battlefront when it first came out, and then I realized the amount of hours required to continue being good at it, and I said, I don't have the time to dedicate to it. But it's amazing because just the artistry of it, they took original props from the original movie, 3D scanned them into the game.
Oh, wow.
So when you're looking at it, it's like a pure, authentic version of the original film, but
that's cool.
You're playing in the actual world, which is fascinating.
That'd be amazing in virtual reality.
Yes,
right?
totally. So Scott Rogers, he worked on these games. He's a huge fan. He's an instructor. Craig Catan, who's also an instructor at NYFA LA, I believe worked on Luke's Hand, which is really dope. We're going to try to get Craig into the studio. He was excited about coming on here. Craig hosts his own podcast, too. Really cool dude. Again, May the 4th, just busy. We also have given out honorary degrees to Billy D. Williams, who came to NYFA. I believe he went to the New York school and just sat down and talked with our students for a couple of hours, showed some movies. We gave him an honorary MFA, which is really cool.
That's awesome.
If you go to the website, again, onto the blog, there's this really great picture of him kissing the degree, which I just love. So NYFA obviously loves Star Wars, and we didn't want to just tell you guys about our alumni and staffers who've worked on Star Wars, but we also wanted to talk to you guys about the impact Star Wars has had on cinema.
Something about universes and having more than one.
So Star Wars is this first kind of film to come out that explores the idea of an expanded universe.
Right.
We start off with the Skywalker family. We're kind of learning about their journey. But when we get to the prequels, you get to see how... let me roll back. Before we get to the prequels, in I believe 78, which is right before the final third movie of the original trilogy comes out, that was released in, I believe, in 81, you get this really great moment where they're like, we should be releasing comic books. So they start telling stories of, sometimes I think the first couple issues are just the first movies rehashed again, retold in paperback form. But then they start expanding across the universe. They originally released with Marvel, I want to say all the way until like the mid-90s, at which point Marvel dumps the property because no one sees the prequels coming yet. And they're picked up by an independent publishing house. And they continue on there. On top of that, you have these amazing novels that continue the stories of not just your main crew, but like characters you didn't get to spend a lot of time with, but that fans really connected with. Boba Fett has his own journal. A bunch of stormtroopers get their own stories, which is dope because,
that's cool.
Again, if you know the prequels with the Clone Wars and how the stormtroopers were originally clones and then they became... It's really cool. But that is how their expanded universe started. It was first the movie, which was set in a place that had a large universe and a large history, but didn't really explore it. Then they started to explore it via comic books and paperback novels. Then they have the prequels. Somewhere in between there, we start getting video games as well. So you can follow the stories of like Starkiller and The Force Unleashed. It is an incredibly dense and populated universe. I want to say there's like 180,000 years of Star Wars history.
What?
If you really... Oh, Pega, you don't even know.
There's just this entire world that I'm missing.
Yes, it's literally huge. You could completely get absorbed in it right now on bookshelves. Marvel, obviously... Okay, so if you guys know anything about the hierarchy system now, Disney owns Marvel and Star Wars. So when they...
Yeah. I went to the Star Wars ride at Disneyland. If
yes!
that makes
Wait, Star Wars tourist?
Yes.
Who was your... You had C-3PO as your guide?
Wait, not the one where Captain EO used to be, where they just make you watch like a whole montage of all the different Star Wars movies.
Oh, that's pretty fun
that
too.
was really cool. That made me really want to watch it.
If you guys have a Disneyland or Disney World close to you, check out the Star Wars tour guide, as it is the best. It's so cool. C-3PO takes you on a trip through the galaxy. Depending on which ride you get on, there's 3 different versions. You'll have a different ending. I was looking at the first time that I got the Darth Vader ending, which is really dope. And then you get into this awesome gift shop at the end, and you have a really cool lightsaber that you can build, and it's so awesome. I love Star Wars. But the reason we mentioned the universes is because we're seeing this pop up all across cinema now. Not just in what I think traditionally we considered either sci-fi or fantasies. We know Lord of the Rings is an extended universe. But now we're seeing it in things like Quentin Tarantino says all of his movies are their own universe. You see a lot of overlapping in that area of... So, like, for example, in Inglourious Bastards, in his universe, the Nazis not only lost, but Hitler was burned by a group of rogue Jewish gentlemen in a theater. Spoiler alert. And so all of his movies happen in kind of like this alternate history that he's developed. Recently, we learned that M. Night Shyamalan is doing the same thing with his movies. Split is his latest movie that came out this summer.
Right.
It is technically in the same universe.
Don't tell me a spoiler alert, because I really want to see that one.
Okay, I won't spoil anything because I know everyone hasn't had a chance to see Split. But it takes place in the same universe as Unbreakable.
Okay.
As Unbreakable, which is a movie he did in the late 90s, early
Bruce
aughts.
Willis, right?
Yeah, Bruce Willis. Samuel L. Jackson plays Mr. Glass. Great film. There's now a third and fourth movie, I believe, coming out about these universes and how they operate and work together. And so it's really cool to see how what was originally once this kind of giant space opera has kind of influenced everybody to explore how they can further tell their stories. And it's become so popular that Sundance now offers a program where you can, if you have an expanded universe, and you have more than one platform upon which you want to display this universe. So that means video games, movies, television shows, comic books, novels. What are other ways we expand our universes? Rides at amusement parks is a great way to expand a universe. Fan fiction expands the universe, although usually we don't consider that canon. I am kind of excited by this idea. I love being absorbed into these universes. Is there a universe that you enjoy spending time in that is not the one you currently live in?
What do you mean spend time? Okay, I liked Interstellar. Does that make sense? That's like an actual universe. I don't think we're talking about the same
No,
thing.
Interstellar, so that's...
They're
it's a single
escaping
movie.
into another universe.
Yes,
Does that
that's
make
true.
sense?
Yes. Interstellar would be an extended universe if, say, we got his daughter's best friend's side of the story, and then, like, or like some farmer on the other side of the world, how that event impacted their life. A shared universe essentially just means that you have one event or world. Yeah. Well, the same timeline happens, but you're seeing it from multiple people's perspectives, I guess is the best way to describe that. So, Star Wars, the Death Star blows up a planet. Everyone on that planet is gone, but the universe is affected by it. Now there's a planet-destroying machine, weapon. It can affect everybody. So how does somebody who's, 8,000 light years away, how are they affected by it as opposed to somebody who shares that same sun?
Gotcha.
It's going to be different experiences, but same timeline, same world. So I think it's really cool to explore how Star Wars has had that impact. And I think it kind of starts with its monumental original release, which saw this crazy activity for we need the toys, which is kind of, Star Wars is one of the first movies to do that wasn't strictly aimed at children, but got people excited enough to go buy the toys and the figurines for it.
And I feel like it also had a huge impact on cosplay, right?
Absolutely.
I feel like the majority of people that I see dressing up are in Star Wars costumes.
You know what? That's an interesting point. As somebody who's kind of involved in the community, it never struck me, but I guess we do see a ton of Princess Leia's every year. What I find interesting, there are actual clubs and organizations around Star Wars. In order to be a part of a lot of them, you have to have movie accurate costuming. So this means you have to be able to have a costume that could appear in a movie flawlessly next to the actual costumes from the movies.
Oh, wow.
Right?
So people really put a lot of effort and money into this.
Yeah, and then they're joining not just any, it's not like, oh, well, you could just be a Leia or whatever. Like, it has to be a stormtrooper, but then you're a stormtrooper from a certain group. Or you're a bounty hunter, and, are you, planets are suddenly escaping my memory. Are you a Mandalorian? Or are you from somewhere else? Like, the level of detail, time, dollars spent on these costumes. And again, that just goes to show how much a universe can impact people. When you can get lost, especially when you can create your own characters to go in, can live in this universe,
right.
Whether it's just in your head, whether it's in your fan fiction, or whether you're lucky enough to, talk to a director and they'd be like, hey, we like you, just slip you in the movie. We saw a lot with celebrities who appeared in the past two movies, who were like, we'll just take bit parts. We just want to be close to the Star Wars. It has that kind of gravitas to it, right?
I just think yes. And I think that it's so huge for storytelling in general that you can create these huge universes and make it whatever you want instead of having to be confined to what we know.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
absolutely.
It opens up so much.
Well, and it's exciting too because Star Wars is now taking it to an even further level where not only do they have these expanded universes, not only are they currently releasing comic books and video games, but now they're also releasing a movie a year. So they're expanding the universe at quite a rapid rate. Now they've started, what I think kind of interestingly, with characters we already are familiar with. So we're going to get the Young Han Solo project. Rogue One was not characters we were familiar with, but literally the moment before we started the series. It is the introduction to all of Star Wars, even though it's the last movie that came out. Star Wars is maybe the only property who can get away with that kind of storytelling.
Yeah, I never understood that because everybody's like, oh, well, if you're going to watch Star Wars, I'd watch the third one first. I'm like, what? Does that make sense?
Yes, they told you wrong. You definitely want to start with the fourth one.
The fourth one, whatever.
The fourth one is A New Hope. So actually, we were having this conversation this morning. So I'm gonna hop in the chat while I'm talking to see if anybody's in there. But if you guys have preferences on
help me out
on Star Wars order, I'd really appreciate it because this is a continuing debate that I have with people. Now, my personal way of showing it is to show the original trilogy first. So this is A New Hope. Oh my gosh, Revenge. Oh my goodness.
A New Hope.
4, 5, and 6. So it's A New Hope.
Okay.
Return of the Jedi is the third one, and I don't... Empire Strikes Back. Return of the Jedi, Empire Strikes Back. So you watch the first 3. Then you want to watch the prequels, which I'm not even going to attempt to name right now, guys. I'm tired.
Okay.
And you can find them. So it's episodes 1, 2, and 3. First one is Phantom Menace.
Phantom Menace is that guy with the red face, and he's all scary.
No, that's Darth Maul.
Oh.
But close. Phantom Menace is just literally means a ghostly menace. There's something changing in the universe at this time. And then you want to watch episode 7. Now, Rogue One just came into play. I feel like you could technically watch Rogue One and then A New Hope. They literally run seconds into, like, Rogue One ends, A New Hope starts. They back them up so close. It's so perfect. When as I told you guys at the top of the hour, I went to the premiere of Rogue One. I've never seen that many grown men cry, first of all. It was incredible. Like, I mean, literally... Some sobbing, some like trying to hide it, but it was literal, very real, authentic tears of just pure joy.
Oscar Isaac?
Yes.
Love him.
Rogue One is the last film that came out. It is technically a prequel to the originals. It is the story of how they got the Death Star plans to Leia. When we start A New Hope, Leia has escaped with the Death Star, or she's gotten the Death Star plans to R2, who's jettisoned off the ship to go find Obi-Wan. But Rogue One, it is such a masterful retelling, and not just that, but a great nostalgia piece in the way I think they had hoped episode 7 would be. But episode 7 just kind of feels like a recasting of the original film, which is, it's fun, and I really enjoy 7. But Rogue One holds a super, super special place in my heart because it's so much fun. I know some people prefer to watch the movies episodes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, just in chronological order. But I think some of the reveals from the original trilogy, and I'm not giving anything away by saying, Luke, I am your father. It's a cultural touchstone. If you don't know it by now, I cannot help you. But that hits you so much harder when you just watch the originals and then go into, like, what made Darth Vader that way? Like, how did he become so evil? And even though they're not maybe at all times the best representations, it's fun.
Okay.
And it works.
I'm excited. I need to set aside like an entire weekend for this.
So I'd really love to hear from fans about like what order they prefer. We do have a party pooper in the chat. Hi, they say may the force be with you. So we really appreciate that. Appreciate you being with us. So I definitely write in because I do want to hear you guys' theories. It's something I'm continuing to debate and figure out myself as I do my marathons and figure out what is the best way to present these movies.
Does George Lucas or anybody that's involved with the film have a preference?
You know, I haven't seen one yet, but that doesn't mean it's not out there. Again, feel free to share with us if you found the official, like, maybe Disney way of watching the films.
Right.
I do know that George Lucas is such an interesting character. People, like, fans of the film, both love George Lucas, like, adore George Lucas, or they hate George Lucas, even though they love his property.
Is he still directing the new ones?
No, George Lucas sold, so for $4 billion, I think, sold the Star Wars properties to Disney.
Change.
So he still comes in, like, he's respected, you know, this is a creator, he can still come in and do things, but he is not, I think, creatively involved in the process at all.
Wow.
I think he gets, like, I think he gets to look over the things and give advice and talk about ideas that he originally had, which often kind of still show up here and there. I want to talk a little bit. So, what I like that with universe stories, especially things that can be so expansive, because they have so many hands, so many writers, directors, producers coming in and touching each little part of the story, fans kind of start to get attached to specific creators and how they're handling the materials. I know some fans who are so diehard into the comics, they're like, they get it. It's so gritty and it's so perfect. Me personally, my perfect Star Wars is the animated shows. Clone Wars and Rebels, I think, tells the story of Star Wars so much better because it comes from people who are not necessarily force sensitive, which means you're seeing how do normal people handle living around essentially gods. in a time of war. It's fascinating and it's so good. And I, thank you, George Lucas, for creating an amazing universe. But if you guys are interested in fan relationships with George Lucas, there's a documentary. I believe it's still on Netflix. I believe it's called I Hate George Lucas or Thank You, George Lucas. It's one of the two, where it's basically a bunch of fans talking about their imagined relationship with George Lucas over the years, and how they, like, when were his ups, like when the first movies came out, and when were his downs, when the Wookiee Christmas special came out, and we got to meet Chewbacca's family, and it was really awful, to everyone's very tormented relationships with The Phantom Menace, which is the first prequel to come out, that came out 1999. And it was just, if you were there, you remember, it was a struggle. You were so excited for Star Wars that you saw it, and you were like, I don't know what's happening. That's not what I expected.
I tell you, your giddiness has definitely made me want to just go home right now and watch
I was really
Star
excited
Wars.
to talk to Star Wars.
It's incredible.
It's such a great community thing.
It really is.
I clearly love Star Wars. If you can't
Oh my
see
goodness,
my
yes.
Darth Vader shirt on now, and do the after show for Rebels here, and it's one of those properties that I think a lot of people got into filmmaking for, specifically people who do visual effects.
Mm-hmm.
The iconic opening ship scene where the ship just sails right over the camera. It captivates people. It's a space opera. It's a drama. It's a romance. It's a war film. And especially now that we're getting to see fans who have loved all of the directors for the new pieces, diehard Star Wars fans, right? So they've been picturing and imagining and coming up with Star Wars theories and stories for years, and now they finally get to show it, and we see in Rogue One what lies ahead for us, I think, what the possibilities can be for future Star Wars films when you have something like most Star Wars films take places on desert planets. Mm-hmm. The desert is affordable, and it's really close by. These guys said, screw it, we've got the money, we're going to the tropics, we're going to shoot what feels like a Vietnam-style war film on a beautiful beach, and we're gonna light it so that it feels warm and sunny while all this tragedy is happening. So that's something you would have gotten from the original Star Wars. It was dark and gritty, but we live in a world now of an expanded universe where we can explore all kinds of angles of Star Wars and Star Wars storytelling, and it's so good. It's so delicious. I love it so much. And it's cool for me because I had no idea how involved NYFA was with Star Wars until I started doing the research and trying to find someone to come on the show for us, and learning that we have like all these people involved in the community, in making the films themselves.
Yes, we have to have them on. That would be incredible.
I promise you guys, I cannot tell you how soon, but our goal is to get you guys as many Star Wars people, Star Trek. If you guys are sci-fi nerds, I totally am. My goal is to get as many of those guys in here to talk to you guys, specifically because the things that they've developed and produced over the years are always so advanced and ahead of their time, and I think that takes a very specific imaginative soul. And I think those are the kinds of souls that our students tend to have. Like, our students are always pushing the envelope. They're always trying for new stuff. And so I want to inspire potentially future students, people who are just curious about filmmaking. I know as a person who's one of those people,
Right.
I want to hear from the creators. I want to hear how you're coming up with these ideas and what it was like to be in the room when it happened. Hamilton reference, because I'm a full-time nerd.
You would think that, in order for the franchise to hire somebody to work on their movies, they have to be like cream of the crop.
Oh,
so
yeah.
they've got to be
no
like...
average person is getting anywhere
Right.
near Star Wars.
So that's awesome.
So we'll try to get you guys either Kristian or Scott Rogers or, oh my goodness.
Francesco.
Yes, Penzieri. I don't speak Italian, but I'm sure he's fabulous, and we're really looking forward to having him on here. In the meantime, guys, if you guys are interested in looking these guys up, which I certainly suggest you do and look at their careers and stuff, but also Scott Rogers just closed out his Kickstarter for his new video game, which is, it's a board game about, like, it's an old-timey space opera. So if you like space operas like Star Wars, you might want to check it out. It's really, really cool. It looks like a lot of fun. He's got a bunch of videos on how to play. Also, if you're into Star Wars and you like the video games, on our Twitch channel at NYFA, we're going to be playing Star Wars Battlefront with one of the designers of it. So it should be really fun to see, like, talk to the designers about how that game got made and processed, and then actually see it being played by someone who worked on it, which is always, for me, a pure joy.
Is that this week on Twitch?
It actually happened, I think, right after this.
Yeah, it's on Thursdays usually.
Yeah, Thursdays at 7, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's almost 5 o'clock here now. So in 2 hours, head over to Twitch, check out the NYFA channel, watch them play Star Wars Battlefront. I'm going to be on their show next week, where we're going to be playing Mario. So if you want to come out and check that out and see us watch play Mario Kart, which is my favorite game of all time.
I actually love Mario Kart. We should play.
Do you?
Yes.
Oh my god! I should bring you along, Vega. We'll all just play Mario Kart. It'll be a fun evening. In the meantime, if you guys have Star Wars questions, if you know what order we're supposed to watch the Star Wars movies in, if you just want to just jab about the Star Wars, if you have complaints, gripes, if you don't think Clone Wars is anything, I want to hear about it. I can talk Star Wars all day. It's my favorite show. Pega. How are you feeling today? I know it was a lot of information.
I'm feeling great. No, I'm actually super excited. And this has been amazing.
Well, I appreciate you joining me on my very nerd out day of May 4th. And it was
fun. I had fun. I had a great time.
Until next week, guys, we've been the NYFA Hour. Linda Goodfriend, who is the head of the acting department at NYFA LA, will be here with us next week.
Fantastic.
Talking technique and auditioning, which she is, oh my gosh.
She's great.
Not only is she just the kindest person, but her knowledge runs deep. She's so smart. So we're excited to have her. If you guys enjoyed Pega's interview with Peter Rayner, he's coming back to talk about a specific movie. We haven't decided which one yet, but he's going to do a real deep dive on a movie. The guy is just a fountain of knowledge.
So knowledgeable.
So smart. So, he makes me think about movies in ways that I had never thought about before, and that's always exciting.
Oh, wow. Yeah, you can actually tweet us maybe suggestions on what movie.
Yes, we would
we'll
love that. He's loved being with you guys. So, as always, thank you so much for coming to the New York Film Academy Hour. We appreciate having you guys. We'll be back here in class, 4 o'clock next Thursday. We'll see you guys then.
Bye.
From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network, we would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network. The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Popcorn Talk Network or its owners or principals.